Welcome, I'm in front of Tokyo Station today, and the story has been about the rice shortages. It just continues. Just recently, the President of the United States made a tweet, a comment about this. I read it, and he's absolutely right on this topic, but Japan will not give in on this, and there's a big reason why, and the biggest reason probably is the thing that frustrates me despite being here for almost 30 years about living in Japan. Now I've sort of accepted it and I can move on with it, but it's gonna be really hard with the negotiation. Why rice in Japan, despite the shortage and people paying double, triple the price, they still won't take American rice, although it's coming in. I wanna talk about this because it's gonna also impact tourists that are coming here. I did this in the same spot right in front of Tokyo Station last month, but there's more to this story. Now the negotiations are getting real heavy, and it makes you wonder, this could be a sticking point, because President Trump is absolutely right. Japan's got a shortage. Why wouldn't they not accept more rice, tariff-free, into the market to meet demand? Because there was a comment from somebody recently, a Japanese person wrote in here, it's not about imported versus domestic. We just can't afford to pay double for what we ate every day growing up. That's the situation in 2025. The way the Japanese government is handling this is probably the way it was in 2005. So things have radically changed, really changed over the course of the last generation. But now we're at this issue where the greatest frustration, I'm gonna say it again, the greatest frustration I have as a foreign resident of Japan is this particular issue. Maybe a little bit different, but it's underlying the same issue that Japan can't change when it has to. However, let's dig into this. This is very interesting to me. This is very interesting. So Japan is actually importing more rice right now than it has in years past. But here's where the problem comes. Last year, this goes back even further. Japan, for decades, has been paying farmers to produce less rice. This keeps the price high and protects the farmers. So that means, like, even in Tokyo to this day, they're paying farmers to produce less rice. They're starting to change this policy out in the countryside, but it will take years before they can start to get the production to ramp it up, where they can now produce enough rice to cover the demand. Now, supply has been going down because the farmers are too old. A lot of them are retiring. People aren't picking up the rice machines and going into the fields to plant those rice. So we've had a diminishing supply for quite a long time. Now tourism comes in. We have 40 million tourists coming in. The demand for rice is higher than it was in years past. I don't know if Japanese are eating more, but there's more demand for it now. So when you couple that with the last few summers that we've had in Japan that were so hot, this one is worse than last year. And last year's summer was it resulted in a very bad harvest. We basically ran out of supply of rice about 2 months ago. And the harvest isn't until the end of September. We don't start to see in the stores freshly harvested rice. Then the supply comes back every, I don't know, like September 20th or so. You see the shin, the new mark on all the bags of rice, and the price goes down until that supply runs out. Then we need imported rice to make up that difference. This year we hit that no more rice threshold a lot earlier than we did last year. We hit it like in May, which is crazy fast, and that means that the prices are going up. They have stockpiled rice, of course. Rice can stay for a long time, but they're going through that real fast right now. And I don't know if we're gonna make it until September 20th. And the farmers this year are already saying that this year's harvest is not gonna be good because the rainy season finished early. It was crazy, like before it even started, the rainy season was over. We've got blue skies in Japan. This is supposed to be the rainy season. So it's absolutely insane to me. It's just too hot. So this stresses out the rice. We're gonna have a really bad harvest, there's no doubt about it. The cherries in Yamagata, the Sato Nishiki, very famous variety of cherries, they actually don't have the hat's here because it's too sunny and too hot. They actually had a really bad harvest this year because it was too hot. The cherries burned and the harvest yield was much worse. This isn't just with cherries, it's with a lot of stuff all across the board with the Japanese produce. We're gonna have to import a lot more into Japan as a result, just to meet the demand. But it's a couple of things: bad policy, the summers are too hot, and there's just a declining population of the production of it, and also the tourism and the demand for rice is gone up a lot more. What are they going to do about it? President Trump is a very, trying to read her English, please. Are you talking to me? This is live, so I'm going to react to the chat here. So the President of the United States is a very good negotiator. He really is. Watching Mark Carney back down was very entertaining and very sad, because we got so many Canadian people here, viewers in our community. To see that was kind of sad for me, but also it showed he really does have a lot more cards. In this, I think that America has a lot of the cards here as well too, but the way that they're doing it is not understanding fundamentally how important rice is to Japan, in particular people over the age of 50. All right, let me talk about this here. So to show the people how spoiled countries have been with respect to the United States of America, I would have great respect for, and I have great respect for Japan. They don't take our rice. It's true. And yet we have in the past, and yet they have a massive rice shortage. We're actually taking American rice. So this isn't completely true, but it's a negotiation tactic. In other words, we'll just be sending them a letter, and okay, so this is about the tariff thing. So the rice isn't really part of the tariffs for a reason. Japanese government, the LDP party, for a very long time has relied on this as not just it's the lobbyists from this industry is quite strong, okay, and they're also quite old, I would expect. And when you go out into the Japanese countryside, they sometimes defy reason. This is what frustrates me. They don't, despite the fact that change would give them way more money and way more upside, they just don't want to change their ways. And this is what's happening, I think, where the lobbyists are still petitioning the LDP, which has been in power for the majority since World War II. It's like the mayor of Philadelphia. They haven't had a Republican mayor in Philadelphia since, I don't know, 1948, which is crazy. They probably should, to balance out the power a little bit, to clean house every now and then from each one political party to the next. But Japan has pretty much been the LDP for a very long time. And that consistency has advantages, but it also has disadvantages. One of them is this deep-rooted lobby from the agricultural industry, and they simply don't want to do it, despite it would make a lot of sense. And I showed you this comment here. This is so critical, that Japanese citizens simply don't want to pay double or triple for rice anymore. And we already can see the writing on the wall that the price of rice is going to remain high. They have the, I gotta move into the sun to get rid of the shadow. The price of rice is going to remain high for quite a long time, because we already know that the harvest this year is going to be bad. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and where the president probably got some stuff wrong here, but his tweet does have a really good, is really good for negotiation. I want to explain this, how rice is sacred too. I mean, we throw rice onto the sumo ring to purify the sumo ring. They'll throw rice. I'm sure you've seen that. It's a very sacred commodity in Japan. But there's already a tariff-free allotment of rice that Japan can take from the World Trade Organization rules. Japan must import roughly 770,000 tons of rice each year, about 100,000 tons for human consumption. I don't know what that means. So the other is not for human consumption? You mean like for animals? So they're giving the foreign rice to animals because it's cheaper, or what? So that's already sort of an insult in a way. But this comes from ChatGPT, so you got to take it with a grain of salt here. The tariffs beyond the quota. Any rice above that quota is slapped with a hefty 341 yen per kilogram, equating to 200 and 300% tariff rate. That is draconian. That's really bad. That's a lot per kilogram. So yeah, that's sort of the issue here. However, I don't know, I think we might be near the tariff rate. So according to statistics here, Japan imported 780, almost 8,000 tons of US rice. And in June, check this out. In June, 25, you can see how the shortage has started Japanese to take in more American rice. Now almost 25,500 tons. So the number has gone up. And apparently it's still within the quota of for WTO imports, but they need to get more of this in here. So as long as it stays below the quota, they're going to be able to do it tariff-free, but the tariffs start to kick in. Maybe now that it's July, over the second half of June, the statistics are showing perhaps we've exceeded the quota. I don't know. But Aeon, which is a big shopping mall, already started to bring in American rice and put that on the shelves. Now, historically, Japanese customers just simply don't want to eat Japanese foreign rice. There has been this, again, the lobbying is very, very strong. You got to give them credit. They know how to protect an industry in Japan. To the Japanese consumer, and this goes back generations to after World War II, American rice is inferior. This goes also for the Aussie koshikari being grown. It's everything outside. All foreign rice is inferior. It is dirty. It is not produced with the same love and the same quality as Japanese rice. Total farce. Total farce. You know how I know this? One of my friends, all right, Dasai Nihonshu. Dasai is a very famous sake brand, right? It's a very famous sake label. The CEO of Dasai, Sakurai-san, I got a chance to see him at the beginning of this year. Extremely smart businessman. They are growing the Yamada Nishiki rice for Japanese sake, and they are brewing Japanese sake in the United States, all of it from Japan, all of it from the United States. You know where they grow that rice? Arkansas. They grow the Yamada Nishiki rice for their Dasai Blue American-made sake in Arkansas. And that sake is good. Thus, I can tell you that it's all marketing, and Sakurai-san, being an extremely talented businessman, he knows the market so well, has found a way to get around those tariffs by brewing the sake in the United States. It's an amazing story. I wanted to cover it, but Arkansas is so far away. I just didn't have enough time in the US to go there, and I'm sure that they have quite a story. But it shows you that America can grow some really good rice. When I asked why Arkansas, they said that is the location better than anywhere in Europe. Arkansas might be the best place to grow Japanese rice in the entire world outside of Japan. That's what I've heard. So if you're living in Arkansas, I'd love to hear from you. That's kind of a cool little tidbit. That's what I've heard from them based on their research. It could be different depending on who you ask, but it's an interesting thing. So American rice is by no means inferior. And I think the Japanese consumer is now at a point where they would rather pay less for rice than more for rice because it's Japanese, because of the marketing. I think we're all kind of getting it now. This is why, when you add it all up, I gotta get out of the sun. You get between the buildings here, you can get in the shadow, but you get backlit. Should be okay now. This is why I think inevitably Japan will lose this import battle, and they will not be able to protect the rice sector. And this could cost the LDP votes, and the other party, I don't know what's going to happen politically, but the other party might get stronger as a result of this. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's a very sensitive thing. Typically, what Japan does, and with the data that I just showed you here, they do it quietly. They don't do it very big in the news, and they don't want people to know that they're quietly starting to raise the imports. So Trump, by posting that tweet on Truth Social, what he's done is forced Japan's hand now, and now decisions have to be made, I guess, because it's getting a lot of press now, and they're going to have to bring in more American rice. And this isn't just American rice, it's going to be Aussie rice, because the Aussies can grow some pretty good rice too. They get a lot of space out there. Is it good? I don't know. The California koshikari is okay, but I'd prefer to eat the Japanese rice. But maybe that's also the marketing and the misconception that I have from being here for like 3 decades almost. So I don't know. When it comes down to rice, though, let's see here, they will lose. They will lose because of your vote. I can't vote here, but my wife can. She's not going to be voting in the next election because she's in the United States, and I don't think that they have absentee voting in Japan. I'm not sure. So she said that I should vote for her. I'm like, I can't do that. That's just wrong. I take I take voting as a very important thing, responsibility that everybody has to do. So, all right, let's go through this here. I just want to quickly highlight why rice is so important to the Japanese here, and why this is something that might be off, why Japan is not using this, because they could use this. This could be one of the chips that they have in the trade tariff and the tariff negotiations. We're going to import more American rice. They'd be able to get they'd have more bargaining chips in this negotiation. They have something to offer. They're not even ponying this up. They don't want this to be on the block because of the political ramifications of putting rice on the table. So for trade, so that's something that they just simply can't do. That's crazy, right? So here's probably the reason why. Rice is sacred, literally and culturally. Rice is not a crop. It's a symbol of Japanese identity, tradition, and self-sufficiency. Shinto rituals, ancestral offerings, and traditional meals revolve around domestically grown short grain Japonica rice. The taste, texture, and stickiness of Japanese rice are distinct. American rice, mostly long grain or medium grain, calrose, is seen as inferior for Japanese dishes. When I got married, I had to drink sake. I believe there was a rice offering. I can't remember, the wedding was like 6 years ago. And I know that drinking of the sake, which is called Nihonshu, or Japan's drink, think about that. Like, they call Japan's drink is the sake, coming from rice. It's a very significant part of the culture. People think that, and this is the old thinking, and I think it's going to change inevitably because the market pressure's there. You can't keep it like that pure anymore. You have to mix nowadays. Maybe there's going to be blends of rice where it's 50% American rice and 50% Japanese rice. Maybe they do something like this. I mean, my son is 50% American and 50% Japanese. He might actually like that rice more. I don't know. But it's going to be very hard to keep it the pure Japanese Japanica, made and raised in Japan rice, without the really important legislative changes to the way that they've been growing rice for the last very long time. But this issue, and this is the most interesting issue to me, to see it coming up here like this, it just highlights all of the things that have been frustrating me about Japan with change. This isn't so much in Tokyo as it is out in the countryside, which is 99% of Japan. This inability to change despite it being for the better good. This stubbornness because this is the way things are. And they're not wrong, because this is also what makes Japan such a special place. But the market and the way that the world works, Japan does not sell just to the Japanese. They are now in the global economy. They're going to have to make concessions. And this is inevitably why Japan is going to lose this import battle, but they have to fight it to save face. And this is the part of Japan, I'm kind of going in here. We'll talk about this in a second here. Saving face is an important part of Japanese culture, and President Trump just doesn't give a darn about it. And if your negotiation, business means, oh, hello. If business means war, and war is war. It's about making money and trying to make sure that your people are doing better, and he's fighting for the American people, and I understand that. It's a very sensitive topic here within Japan. And he's using that as sort of a rift here. And I think it's going to hurt the LDP, but it's also going to have a big impact on the Japanese consumer, because they're going to get cheaper rice. Are they going to eat it? I don't know. This is the issue here. In the 1990s, Japan was forced under WTO to open up rice imports. American Kalos rice was brought in during a shortage. Japanese consumers rejected it outright. It was seen as unpalatable, stored poorly, and some even suspected it was old or tainted. Could it be some kind of manipulation? I don't know. But this was 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. A lot of things have changed since then. The term uruchimai, non-glutinous rice, has become a battleground for semantics and marketing, with the Japanese preferring domestic no matter what. It's going to be very, very hard for Japanese to buy American rice. But I think at this point, when I showed you that comment, there's really not a lot of choice here. The failed agricultural policies here, the younger people versus the older generation. We're seeing that battle come into roost here. And I think that it's inevitable over the course of over the course of this year, we're going to see this completely change, and perhaps this is going to become a bargaining chip for the WTO. For Japan versus America in this trade. Maybe they're playing this right. I don't know how this is going to play out, but maybe they play this card this month, and it helps reduce tariffs on other things. But the fact is that Japanese are not quite sold on wanting to buy American rice, although Aeon Mall is making some push for that, and Japanese supermarkets are making a push to bring in imported rice. It's going to be a hard sell. It's going to take some time to get consumers to want to eat it. And when it comes to American cars, they're just too big. It's like President Trump just got rid of the EV mandate, I think, that California had, where automakers had to make two types of cars, one for certain states and one for another group of states, even though that those cars could go to any other state, different standards. You got to create a whole American car with a totally different standard for Japan. It's really a hard thing to do. Ford left, was it Chevrolet or Ford left in 2016 and has not come back? I don't know, but there is a trend now for bigger cars, so there is a possibility. Walter L. Walters writes in here, do you think that if the Japanese government implemented a strong tourist price hike, it would help? That's another topic perhaps for tomorrow, but I don't think so. I'm not sure. A tourist price hike? What do you mean, like at a restaurant? That's a really sensitive topic, but the two-tier pricing is starting to, I see it more at tourist spots, which is another reason to explore the other 99% of Japan that is not Kyoto, Osaka, Nara, Tokyo, particular neighborhoods, and get out to more local areas, because you won't get this two-tier pricing. Kyoto, for the people that have gone there, aren't having the greatest experience anymore like they used to. Even Kanazawa has become sort of, Any other last questions? I hope this is useful. I'd love to hear your take on this in the comments below. What do you think about this? Do you kind of understand why Japan is kind of sensitive? They don't want to do this in the press. They want to do this behind closed doors and quietly, but they want to do it, but they can't. And yet the president is forcing their hands, which is a really good business tactic for the US, even though it's not completely accurate. It's on target for what he wants to accomplish. And it's a pretty brilliant negotiating tactic, but I don't know if it's going to be part of it. I do see somebody behind me with a camera. Rio, how do people know that you are here? Hello.
I heard that you were talking the very serious stuff, so I don't want it to disturb you.
It was not that serious. It's just about the rice shortage and the politics behind it. But yeah, this is Rian. How you doing? Are you filming an episode here?
Yeah. Actually, I'm filming in the Disneyland, so I'm heading to the Disneyland from
now.
Oh,
okay.
Starting from here, and then I found you, so I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yes.
The last time I saw you, you were across the street, I think, in front of there. And I think people were saying, "There's Rian over there," and I said, "No, I'm over here." But we just kind of meet. But there you go.
Nice.
Yeah. Great. People, your fans are in here. Gao, how you doing?
Yeah. Great.
I can ask you, would you eat American rice?
American rice.
See, there it is. There it is.
Very. I mean, I usually eat the Japanese rice and also the jasmine.
Yeah, right. Well, I like Thai food too. Japan likes Thai food, but It's a hard one, right? To eat.
Yeah, some people really cares, especially some sensitive people, elder ages Japanese.
Oh, yeah, over 50 years old, set in their ways. Yeah, I can understand that. But we also don't want to pay 2 times more for rice.
Indeed.
So it's a very sticky topic, including the how Japanese rice is typically a very good stickiness to it.
See, serious topic. So
It's a very serious. It's not that serious. I'm trying to explain it here.
Yes.
But how old are you?
Oh, I haven't disclosed yet. I'm
Oh, you haven't?
21.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, let me put you like this. Have I been here longer than you've been alive? So I came here in 1998.
Should be, yes.
That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Well, I'm a big fan of yours, so thank you so much for coming to say hi. I don't want to keep you going. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rion's. He does a lot of good stuff here, showing you guys around. Thanks for coming. Absolutely, let's go out and do it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you're not living too far away. This is my neighborhood. This Chua Ward here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you living around here too?
It's a bit far, but still very convenient place.
Tokyo now.
So yeah.
You're not a Kansai guy anymore.
No,
Okay.
I'm based in here.
Okay. Okini. Maido.
I was born and raised in Osaka, so
He's still an Osaka guy. But welcome to Tokyo. All right, well, let's catch up again soon. Thanks for saying hi. That was pretty cool. Oh yeah.
Mind if you are in the video?
Oh no, yeah, go ahead. Here.
Okay, so just talk it freely.
Oh, okay, we're talking freely here. So talking about anything now. Yeah, this is it's such an amazing place to be around and I'm doing a live stream now. We're gonna be in Rion's video. This is pretty cool, everybody. You guys are gonna be in the background. Hey!
It's a great reporter. That's good reporter.
I live here too. All right, bye guys. Oh, that's real nice. I'm so proud of Rion and a lot of the Japanese YouTubers that are doing this job. He's making an episode on Tokyo Disneyland, and it's starting from here. Which is probably a good idea because everybody knows where Tokyo Station is. But I'm so proud because when I first started this, one of the things that I asked for was we need to have more Japanese YouTubers explaining about Japan, not just foreigners, but people that are living here in Japan, born and raised in Japan. And Rion has been doing it now for several years with some great success. He's very consistent, and I'm really happy to see his growth as a creator. He's getting better with his content. So that was really cool to be able to catch up with him like that. Maybe we'll hang out now. Sometimes it just takes coming to say hi once, and then it unlocks a door we can walk through. Brandania, thank you. Yeah, I've gotten a chance to meet with a lot of other creators, but it doesn't happen too often. But when you do, we have a really good, it's a good chance to build a relationship with other people. So, yeah, I'd love to see Satoshi and Shinichi. It's been like, I don't know. The last time I saw them was before the pandemic. We were in, it's not good to say that word, but was on the Sunrise, not the, 7 Stars train for the Discovery Channel, and we've been talking about trying to meet up for ages before Leo was born, but it just never happens. I send Satoshi messages, but they're always traveling, and I'm always traveling. It's actually harder than you think to meet up, but it's really pretty good. But Rion hit the nail on the head. American rice and American cars and American products have, and President Trump is kind of right on this. The marketing has been against them to protect the domestic market, and I think that if it's marketed better, there's a really good chance that they'll sell a lot more, but they're not really selling much at all. And because the Japanese market is so closed, a lot of products are just too expensive because it's not as competitive a market as the United States market. The US market is such a great market, and the most interesting thing to me about that post was that rice is really not on the table for Japan. So the president played it out publicly and he's forcing the hand of the Japanese in the trade war. This is still ongoing, okay? I don't think the Japanese are going to crumble like Prime Minister Carney did in Canada. That was that hurt me to see elbows up, and then if you're Canadian, you guys know what I mean. It's a crap tax anyways, right? But I don't know. It was a tough one. I don't want to get political about it, but I'll tell you, the president is doing a really good job with the tariffs and negotiating. He's very strong. He's very, very strong. And just whether or not you like him or not, he's very good at this. It's just playing out. And that's why the inflation's still low and the stock market is not fluctuating based on this anymore. It's pretty amazing to me, because I had my doubts too. We'll see how this plays out. It's still early, but trade deals typically take a very long time, and Japan does not do things at the speed of the United States. This is another thing I learned as a foreign resident here. Japan does not do things at that speed. They do it by consensus, meaning it takes a long time to get back and forth. And Prime Minister Ishiba is doing the best job that he can possibly do to try to find some of that consensus and push this through quickly, based on that very long partnership, friendship between the United States and Japan. But for something as sensitive as rice, it's not something they can do so quickly. And this is my greatest frustration as living here in Japan, is that if you do not have patience, and I'm not the president, I don't hold any cards, I'm just one resident here. I'm not going to change the system because the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. You can't go against the waves, and you can't do it. You're going to get pushed down every time. So it's very important for Japan to understand that. And I don't know. I think they should use that as part of the tariffs, because it's an inevitable battle. But this goes deeper. This goes deeper than my experience 30 years living here, 27 years living here. This is a deeper thing. And Rion highlighted that, which is great. All right, that's all I wanted to do. 30 minutes on this is more than enough. The rice thing could just be leverage for something else. Absolutely. It could be. But again, we're seeing this play out, and the Western media and the Japanese media are playing it on the other side, where this could not be a part of leverage. This is just a sense of friction and a scare tactic to sell more newspapers, so to speak, to get the ratings up, to get more people engaged with the news. Inevitably, Japan cannot win this battle. There's the harvest this year, the writing's already on the wall. The harvest this year is going to be worse than last year. That means that Japan's going to run out of rice in 2026, probably at the end of April, like after 5 or 6 months, maybe earlier than that. I don't know what the yield's going to be, but they certainly did not increase the amount of rice from last year by much at all. It's just such a hard thing to do. Why would Japan buy inferior American rice? Because if you go to the supermarket right now, rice is double or triple the price of what it used to be, and there's a shortage of it. And right now, the price that they have, you can only get 1 bag per customer. And now this was 2 months ago. This has changed. I showed this last time. Now there's no bags of rice, or maybe 1 or 2. That used to be the price for 5 kilograms. That's the price for 2 kilograms right now. All right, 2,000 yen. You used to be able to get 5 kilograms, and 2,000 would be half that price. So it's double or triple what it used to be. So people just can't pay that. Japanese wages, you don't understand this if you're asking that question. It has nothing to do with inferior anymore. It has to do with, I want to eat. Japanese wages compared to American wages have not increased. They might increased a little bit since 2000. For an entire generation, wages in Japan have been stagnant. Yet in America, everybody has seen raises, and the economy has grown up, and the Japanese economy has been whoosh, like flat across the board for the majority of people. Those that were there's no interest rate, so you're not making a lot of money if you have money in a savings account. The stocks here don't really pay dividends either, so it's not like people aren't really making a lot of wealth unless they're investing it in something like the tourism industry, something that's growing. Michael Sasanos is here. Aloha, brother. It's hard to imagine Japan ever having a rice shortage. I know. I've seen so many rice. This was not an issue decades ago, but again, Japan is very slow to change their approach on these kinds of things. It's like the geological plates, they move at not years, but millions of years. That's how Japan gets stuff through there. And then they subsidize it with, and creating more debt from the citizens of Japan, which is the worst. And I would say Japan's economy is in a worse shape than the US with debt. It's so bad right now. They cannot do another program to subsidize. They gotta just do this. You can't give more subsidies to the Japanese citizens from government money because you don't have any more to give. To pay for rice because you're stubborn and don't want to lose your voting group, which is people over the age of 50 out in the countryside, which is the most of the people who vote, for something that's a losing battle. It just can't be done. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but Japan does not make a lot of sense. They don't do things the way that we want them to do it with our Western thinking. It's usually backwards, like everybody backs into a parking spot. The grammar is sort of in reverse. You know, everything is sort of, you don't go to a Japanese baseball game looking for home runs. You go in there looking for the strategy, right? And there's a whole different, it's about the team, not the individual. Everything is like absolutely backwards to American thinking, but Japan no longer has the same kind of leverage that it did in the 1980s. And it's very hard for the trade negotiations like this to go on. And it's very easy for, I think, President Trump to get some big wins and concessions. But do you really want to do that with an important trading partner? How deep do you want to go? We'll see. It's going to be interesting. And I'm split because I'm American and I'm very much in Japan. But I think that America's got to be more competitive Japan has to be more competitive, and they have to make some concessions here. They just don't have a choice. Just don't do what Canada did. We learned from that. Boy, was that a mistake in the election. I don't know, I'm just saying that. I really don't have a bone to pick. All right, guys, take care. Things will get better. This is not the end of Japan because of a rice shortage. The reason why I'm very passionate about this is because this is a prime example that highlights the kind of thinking that frustrates people who come to move here. So whether you're coming to live here, you're buying a house, you're thinking that the US stinks and Japan is better, I'm here to tell you, it's not. The paradise of Japan is what you think is a paradise and how great it is. On the surface, it is amazing. But Japanese culture is so much deeper than Western culture. There's so many more layers to it that you can't see unless you live here. There's so much more to it. And that depth is an asset, and it's also a liability in something like this. And we're gonna see how it plays out. All right, guys, take care. I'm looking forward to the comment section here. I'll see you in another live stream tomorrow. Very cool to see Rion walking around. He's taller than I thought he was. He's taller. That was cool. All right, guys, take care. Mata ne.